Hey, family. Can see we got a new set going on here. I'm gonna ring this bowl. It's for the heart chakra. You see them rays of that sun. That's why I had to get the new set. This is my living room. The sun is so bright in this window in the summer and the fall. The sun sets, so I have a perfect view of the setting sun out of this window. I posted some pictures on my community page. I'll show you. This is where I spend most of my summertime because it's cool in here and because I watch the sunset through here. Oh, this is me. This is from my community page. About 4 weeks ago, I posted me when I was watching the sun. And look what I saw if you haven't seen this post. As the sun set, this cloud developed. And if you look closely, it looks like a woman. It actually looks like my mom. I ain't gonna lie. Tell you the truth. But, yes, I was blown away when I saw this. And I wanted to share that with y'all. So I snapped a picture right quick. But this is what I am sitting in front of now. This is my famous front window. It faces northwest, and so the sun sets in the northwest from where I live at on the earth. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. I wanted to actually keep making the videos at the same time that I am sun gazing and everything. And if you've been following my channel for a long time, you remember back last October on Halloween I did a video called Meridian's Prophecy. And that was an exciting video, and I did it in the rays of the rising sun. So I was on my back porch, and that I get the rising sun during the late winter and the early spring. The sun starts rising through my back porch windows. And in the summertime and the late fall, I get to watch the sun set through the front of my house. So I live in a lighthouse, and it puts the light out to you guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm sending you guys all of this beautiful energy that I receive from the sun. And so we'll be making the videos from this location at least until October. Right now I got some other stuff I want to show you real quick. Because when I first set up this was yesterday when I got everything moved in here, and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to share, and I wanted to bring to you guys something out of course, the Megillah. Now you ain't gonna be able to see her now. She's white and gold, so she matches the sun. But yes, I wanted to read to you from chapter 88. And when I was doing my studying, I heard a still small voice say, you have to start at 87 if you want to do 88. So I said, okay, fine, this is going to be a series. I get to the beginning of 87 and listen at the title. The companions visit Wizardess Mechezah, widow of Zebulon the wizard, at hot springs on the east side of the Jordan River. And I was like, dang, her name, I'm gonna butcher it. So I looked down to see what it does have a pronunciation for her name. It says the Old Strong's Bible Concordance gives the pronunciation as Mechezah and defines as a window. Thus, also light. So her name, Mechezah, or I've been saying Mechezah. I'm going to show you online so you can see the spelling of it. But Mechezah means a window, and it also means light. It says a newer version of the Strong's, called the Strongest Strong's, adds that it thus also is used to mean a lighted spot, a place where light has entered through a window. And that it is appropriate, for like a window, light flows through her to enlighten those that sit near her. So, this is what the Megillah does to me, okay? It continuously shows and proves to me that I'm not crazy, all right? Because I thought it was just my craziness, and I said, you guys are going to be so confused when I come on from the living room and everything. But I was like, hey, they'll get the picture when they see the sunlight. So also, you can't tell right now, but the walls are all wooden. This place is very, very special. This is my 4-year anniversary in the month of June is when I moved in here. And this is a very special, enlightened place. I call it the lighthouse. Right? So, let me show you online how to pronounce her name, what they say online. And I also want to remind you that the Megillah tells us that the Hebrew and the Aramaic language that the Megillah was written in is much, much older than the modern Hebrew. So that's why maybe some of the pronunciations and the spellings in the Megillah are completely different than the modern day Hebrew. It says, this is how you pronounce her name.
Mechezah.
Mechezah. So it does spell it the same way as in the this is how it is spelled in the Megillah. So I've been saying Mechezah, and forgive me, Mechezah, if I ain't saying it right, and all of you out there, if you know how to say it right, forgive me, but I'm gonna call her Mechezah, and it means light, a place of seeing, a window. So this is the perfect video, and I didn't pick it. I didn't pick it. Okay, that's all I want to say. I just listened and moved to the proper spot, and then I was told and shown and instructed on what's next. And that's really how it's been. And I appreciate it too, because I worry a lot that I am, you know, gonna overstep my boundaries here making these videos, because I don't know everything, and the Megillah isn't even finished. So I do try to keep reiterating that nothing is final on this channel. It's going to continue to be added to the knowledge. Nothing is going to be like, you know, the end. But we're going to get going now, and I'm going to jump out of here and just put up something real nice for you guys to see while I read this. Chapter 87. I don't know if I said it, but it's page 935 for you that have the Megillah. So you can get your book and get ready, because we're going to start now. Alright, so stick to the end, because I'm going to read about how Mechezah lost her legs. So verse 1. Having spoken at several locations around Lake Galilee to groups of interested persons gathered by the advance teams, the Lord and the Lady fulfilled their promise to take the companions to the northeastern side of the Jordan River. The Lord said, our plans are as follows. We will now go visit the eastern side of the river. After that visit to the eastern side, we will return to Lake Galilee and go further north to Syria, then back to Galilee and Magdala. After Magdala, we then will go southwest to Mount Carmel. After Mount Carmel, I promised a special adventure involving an Aleph ship. When several of the disciples began asking about that special adventure, the Lord smiled, but said only, it is a surprise. Some noticed that the Lord and Zabdiel exchanged a knowing glance between one another and perceived that Zabdiel must have inside information about the special adventure. They began to question him for more information. Zabdiel laughed good-naturedly, then repeated what Yeshua said. It is a surprise. He added, Yeshua told you that it will involve an Aleph ship. Now the Aleph are what we call elves, but in the Megillah it tells us that they are the first creatures that were ever created, and they live in Mechezah, which is the highest heaven inside this mother ovum. And so they make ships and they sail and they visit Earth on missions of mercy as well, it says. Alright, so Zabdiel said, Yeshua told you that it will involve an Aleph ship. You all know that I previously sailed on one, but a surprise is only a surprise if it is surprising. Everyone laughed. As the Lord and the Lady and their companions entered the northerly region of the east side of the Jordan River, the side of the river that most of the companions had never visited, the Lord said, "While we are here, behold, we will visit a truly great Nasarean Wizardess. She lives near the hot springs, where I will, for the following day, speak to a group about various water therapies. Her name is Mechezah. We will sit this evening in her light in the date and nut orchard at the farm where she lives with her adopted son, Mechezah. She has lived many years in this region, and being a daily visitor of those hot springs has made many contacts with healers and various traditions that are interested in water therapies, as well as many patients with injuries or illnesses that are benefited by these waters. Mechezah has asked me to speak to those long-term friends and has arranged that they will gather at the hot springs the day after we visit her home. Mechezah has asked Miriam to speak to the group on the topic of herbal cleansings. Venerable Mechezah is the widow of Zebulon the wizard." Again the companions glanced at Zabdiel, for lo, all knew that Zabdiel was near the completion of his written collection of teachings of his mentor Zebulon the wizard, intended for aspirants to Nasarean wizardry. Zabdiel said to the group, "This visit will enable me to show Wizardess Mechezah what I have thus far written, and ask her to share some information to be added. But this visit is not only to bless my scroll with her wisdom, but also to bless each of you with her wisdom. Yea, Yeshua is right. Her name is fitting, for her light shines through her like the rays of the sun through an open window." Yeshua said her son, Mechezah, strength of Yah, is also aptly named. He is strong both spiritually and physically. Likely he is the largest man that most of you have ever seen. And that is a good thing, for lo, Mechezah has no legs, and Mechezah carries her where she needs to go. Sometimes he pushes her in a chair he made that has wheels. You have heard of the Roman war chariots? We call Mechezah's chair the peace chariot. Mechezah's farmhouse was located a long walk from the hot springs. The Lord and the Lady and their companions arrived in the late afternoon, and because the numbers were too many to fit in the house, the companions set up their tents in Mechezah's orchard. Mechezah brought Mechezah to the orchard in her peace chariot, it being a warm evening, a good night to be outside. After a shared meal of lentil soup and fresh greens, they gathered by a fire to hear Mechezah speak. She said, "It is too late to go to the hot springs today, but tomorrow we will go soak." Gesturing at her peace chariot, she said, "For much of tomorrow's walk, the ground is so uneven that Mechezah will need to carry my cart. He will need that exercise after all that lentil soup he just ate." Everyone laughed. Then Mechezah said, "Let us have tea and I will tell you a story." Upon your arrival, Magdana explained that she is the authorized scribe of the Lord and the Lady, and that whatever I speak tonight will be included in the new edition of the Holy Megillah. That will include the account of the ministry of Yeshua and Miriam. So I just want to interject something right here, because I was speaking to one of my friends and she asked me, like, who wrote it? And so you're going to have to read it, because throughout the different books there are different people that are given these stories, but there is an authorized scribe for each part. Like the beginning of the Matanah, the first part of this Holy Megillah, was written by Abidel. Abidel was the firstborn on this world, Adam and Eve's first son. He was the first Nasarean high priest, and he was the first one to write down what happened in the garden, because he was there, first-hand accounts. And now we're about to hear another first-hand account from somebody who was there in Eden, scribed by Magdana, the authorized scribe, for this portion of the Megillah. So I just wanted to interject that for anyone listening and wondering who wrote it. You're going to have to read it, because it does specifically tell you in each part who's talking and who's scribing. Okay? So she says, McDonough explained that she is the authorized scribe of the Lord and the Lady, and that whatever I speak tonight will be included in the new edition of the Holy Megillah. That will include the account of the ministry of Yeshua and Miriam. I meditated on the question of what to share tonight, knowing that it will be included in the Megillah. I realized that the Megillah already is full of wise teachings, but that I have personal knowledge about one topic, a certain person, that I would like to see added to the Megillah. That person is from ancient Nazarean lore, from the era of ancient Eden. But before I begin that account, I wish to make clear how very happy indeed and how very honored I am to have the Lord Christ Yeshua and the Lady Christ Miriam visit my farm. Likewise, I am happy and honored to have each of you, their chosen travel companions, visit. Mechezah placed the palms of her hands together in prayer position and bowed. She added, "It is of course true that some of you are blood relatives of my dearly beloved husband Zebulon, and though he has ascended to El Cush, behold, I feel his presence with us rejoicing." Mechezah then introduced her topic, saying, "You see my old body and recognize the fact that I am old, yet I say I am older than you imagine. I speak not of this one incarnation. All of you, like me, are old souls." See, these are clues. You gotta listen. I know you may think, like, what is this story all about? But if you listen with your listening ears, you're going to get information to fill in the gaps of all your questions. But you really gotta listen, and you really gotta read it for yourself, because the more I go over it and read it, I see more things, because I'm trying to make sure I read it clear for you guys, and then, reading it for myself, and then it's like by the fourth time I read it, I'm seeing things that I didn't see those first 3 times. So it's really about diligence and perseverance and study. That's to get to crack through these layers of lies that we've been programmed. Or you won't if you don't be, it's because we got work to do. All right, sorry, but here we go. She says, "I speak not of this one incarnation. All of you, like me, are old souls. So be not surprised that though my topic tonight is related to the era of Eden, that I will be sharing first-hand knowledge." See, she's not telling a story about a story that she heard about a story. She's telling about something she experienced. She said, and it is from old Eden. And you're going to have to get to the last, to part 2, to hear about how she ended up living on Earth again, because she was living in El Cush before she lost her legs. And I don't know if I said it, but at the end of this read, I'm going to jump over and read to you guys how she lost her legs, so you can just be in the know in case you don't know. But she says, "I will be sharing first-hand knowledge. Yea, I tell you truly, I remember very well my life in Eden, that I lived in the first Nasarean settlement on the mountain of peace. The story I will share concerns my dearest friend of that era, Rachama, the very one that ascended to become the chief messenger angel of the tree of life branch of love for this world." So we're at verse 50. This is Mechezah's story about Rachama as a child. "Before Rachama ascended to become the angel Rachamael, lo, I first knew her as the sweet, tender-hearted little girl that saved my life. When she was 10 and I was 7 years old, she saved my physical life, but she went on to also save me emotionally and spiritually, and that is the story I will now tell. After telling you the story, I will share some advice about communing with her. I will begin by reading some verses from Matanah, the first portion of the Holy Megillah. These verses include a description of Rachama, as well as her twin brother Uriel, who ascended to become the chief messenger angel of the tree of life branch of wisdom. The reference to the holy couple in the first verse that follows is to the parents of Rachama and Uriel, holy Abidel and Isha. So we read, besides Enoch, who became the gatekeeper, so this is from the Matanah she's reading from. We read, besides Enoch, who became the gatekeeper of the tree of life, and that gate is the center of the tree, 3 other children of the holy couple became chief angels of the tree of life. Behold, the first 2 children of Abidel and Isha were twins, a boy and a girl. The boy dropped from the womb and was named Uriel, which means light of Elohim. He was He was as wise as Enoch, but did not possess the diversity of gifts of his brother. For Enoch excelled at everything, being the most skilled musician, the singer with the sweetest voice, the finest carpenter, farmer, and healer. But Enoch's wisdom was such that he made Uriel his chief consultant, for he knew that the wisdom of his brother was equal to his own, and surpassed that of any other man or woman once Abigail and Isha had ascended. Lo, after he died as a man, Uriel became the angel of wisdom of the tree of life for this world. Wherefore he is also called the angel of light, for wisdom is enlightenment and illumination. And because it was fitting, even after his ascension to El Cush, his name remained Uriel. And the twin sister of Uriel was named Rachama, which means compassion. Lo, she was the epitome of tender love, being merciful and compassionate in every thought, word, and deed. When she wept for those in pain, her tears were healing water, like unto the tears of Jaja, and her love was for both the hurtful and the hurt, for her compassion knew no bounds. And the wisdom of her twin brother Uriel was such that he insisted that she be at his side in every important consultation, that not only the wisdom of the mind ruled, but also the wisdom of the heart. And when she died as a woman and ascended unto El Cush, Rachama became the angel of love, and her cherubim name is Rachamael, which means compassion of Elohim. We're at verse 73. Mechezah says, in that excerpt we learned that Abigail, who ascended to become Gabriel, the chief messenger angel of the top center branch of the Essene tree of life for this world, and his wife Isha, who ascended to become Ishael, the chief messenger angel of the center root, had 4 of their children ascend to become chief messenger angels of the holy tree, besides the 3 children that were revealed in this excerpt, Enoch, Uriel, and Rachama. Who amongst you can name the 4th? Seeing that every hand in the room went up, Mechezah smiled and said, I see, I'm addressing a group of Megillah scholars. She then pointed to Johann, who supplied the answer. Johann said, Gilgala. Mechezah nodded and asked Johann, can you also inform us of how many children in total Abigail and Isha had? Johann replied, Enoch was their 7th and last child. And the Megillah informs us that even the 3 that did not become chief messenger angels became important helper angels, since each chief angel has a team of helpers. Mechezah said, very good, Johann. So I perceive that you are all well prepared to receive my story about my personal relationship with Rachama in the era of Eden. Verse 82. You know that the original Eden was attacked by the seraphim and their various minions. You know that the Nazareans created a peaceful village, and later a network of such villages, and ministered to the violent world around them. I was from that violent world, and it was Rachama, then but a child of 10, that saved me 3 times. Unlike Rachama, who had such an excellent upbringing with Abigail and Isha as parents, I had a very rough childhood. When my mother, a prostitute, died when I was but 5, my stepfather, for my birth father, had previously been killed by raiders. Well, my stepfather sold me to some slavers. The price was 2 goats. The slavers sold me for a profit. They sold me to a farmer for 4 goats. I was to be raised a slave in his field, but after 1 year, at age 6, I escaped. For 1 year I survived hiding in one of the slums that had grown up outside the boundaries of Cush. I was so skinny that you could see my bones. Even so, I never stole my food, preferring to beg for scraps over becoming a thief like most of the street urchins. I never ate meat, not due to having received any teachings in that regard, but because I loved animals. After a year as a hungry homeless child of the streets, the farmer who had purchased me from the slavers came to the slum, and recognizing me, took me back to his farm. Because he owned other slaves, he said that he must always make an example of any that escaped, so that the others would not dare to do likewise. Indeed, when I was first sold to him, he had told me this rule: any escaped slave that is recaptured will be killed. Behold, I was tied to a post and firewood placed around my feet. I was but a 7-year-old child, skinny and as a sapling, about to meet a very cruel end to this life. But just as he was about to light the firewood, lo, a mighty commotion arose from his barn, animals began running out of every which way, and the farmer said to his other 7 slaves that were assembled to watch me die, 6 of you come help me catch the animals. Pointing to one of the 7 that had an injured leg, he said, "You wait here, you are too slow to be of any help." After the farmer and the 6 slaves departed to chase after the animals which had run into the wooded area, behold, a little girl approached. She said, "The animals agreed to help save you. They have appreciated your compassionate kindness towards them." She said to be They have appreciated your compassionate kindness towards them. She said to the one slave left behind, "Cut her loose quickly." The man replied, "Why should I do such a thing?" Rachamiah looked deeply into his eyes and said, "Love is the reason." "Lo, you have a compassionate heart. I see it in your eyes." The slave began to weep and said, "Of course I do not want to see this nice little girl killed, but neither do I desire to be burned in her place, which is what the farmer will do if I help. I can't run away with you. Look at my injured leg. Even so, the 2 of you remind me so much of my own little girl that I have not seen since I was captured by slavers, and I wish I could help. The slavers killed my wife when she fought them, and my daughter was enslaved and sold to another buyer." The man, whose name was Tree, he was very tall, began crying a torrent of tears at the memory of his own long-lost daughter, then said, "I will help. Love is the reason. Love for my own daughter, but also love for this little girl." Seeing his tears flow, Rachama felt such compassion that her own tears of compassion rained down on the man's injured leg, and behold, the injury that had been very severe was healed as if by magic. But it was not by magic unless we call love magic, which in one sense I suppose it is. He took a knife and cut the ropes, and the 3 of us ran into the woods on the opposite boundary of the farm from where the farmer had entered it. Mechezah paused, then said, "That was the first time Rachamiah saved my life. That time it was my physical life, but even though my body had been saved from burning, my life up until then had been so harsh. Lo, I was emotionally and spiritually unwell." She brought both Tree and I to the Nasarean village where she lived. As we approached the edge of the encampment, Tree and I felt the atmosphere was too ethereal for us to enter. Rachama led us in a circle around the encampment, having us aid her in doing deeds of kindness, mostly to animals, but also the occasional human refugee. Then a Nazarene search party, they were looking for Rachamiah, found us. Because Tree and I still could not enter such an ethereal atmosphere, they built us 2 huts, one for me and one for Tree, near the edge of the boundary of the Nasarean village, and for a number of years Rachama came and ministered to us nearly every day. Oftentimes she brought other Nazarenes to interact with us, and I grew into a young woman. My emotional wounds were healed, and I was no longer bitter about my harsh early years. I no longer hated my stepfather who had sold me into slavery. I realized that he was an injured soul, and I sincerely prayed for his healing. One day, while performing the love breath, a meditation practice that Yeshua and Miriam had taught you, I felt called to enter the ethereal atmosphere of the Nasarean village. Behold, I walked right into it and felt entirely like I belonged. There was only one problem. Tree, who had become my adopted father, still could not enter. Wherefore I continued to live in my hut beside his, and daily visited the Nazarene encampment. Alright, I'm going to stop right there, and we're going to do part 2 on another video, but I'm going to jump to the end right now so you guys can hear the story about how she lost her legs. So good if you stay to the end, because this is always, the end's going to have some juicy nuggets for you guys for sticking around. Listen, you're going to want to see part 2, because she talks about some astrology, and she bases it on an Elcushian sun and an Elcushian moon that existed before the fall. And she talks some deep stuff about Elcush and the many mansions, rooms there, so you definitely don't want to miss part 2. It's going to be another long jammy, but it's chock full of nuts of information. And remember, I didn't pick this video to make This video picked me, so it must be important for someone. So here we go. She says she had a crystal ball. So we're at verse 296. If you have the Megillah, that's page 946, where I'm going to read from now. This is what happened to her, how she lost her legs. Behold, I said the prayer and gazed into my crystal ball, and I saw a human being, the Nasarean wizard Zebulon, about to be killed by a red dragon. Now, red dragons have made an agreement with Abraham and Sarah not to directly attack humans until the era called Armageddon is upon us, and that treaty is then ended. However, if you know anything about red dragons, you know that they are not to be trusted to keep promises or treaties very well. That is why they are ruled over by black dragons. Though just as evil and even more cunning, the black dragons have more self-control than the red dragons. So, seeing this red dragon about to attack Zebulon on earth, a clear violation of the treaty, rather than try and form a prayer, behold, without thinking about it, I simply jumped into the rainbow bridge, river of light, and was instantly on earth, standing between Zebulon and the red dragon. The swipe of the clawed arm that had been meant for Zebulon hit me instead, cutting off both of my legs. Evidently, even though my transition from El Cush to earth happened in a flash, my body had been converted to a human physical body, so as to be appropriate for this atmosphere. Because the red dragon was shocked to see me suddenly appear and receive the blow that had been meant for Zebulon, it paused a moment to consider the situation. Before it struck again, lo, Abraham and Sarah, he as a golden dragon and she as a silver dragon, appeared and drove off the red dragon. I would have bled to death, but they cleanly amputated the poison remains of my legs and put a stop to the bleeding. They could not replace the legs and told me, you will need to remain on earth for the rest of the lifetime of this physical body, but lo, a human lifespan is but a blink of an eye. And when you return to El Cush after that lifespan, there will be a happy surprise there waiting for you. So I'm going to end it there. This is not the end of the story, but I'm ending it there because I just wanted to show you guys how she lost her legs and also how she has her memories of El Cush, because she didn't come to Earth this time as a baby. She just jumped dimensions. So this is fresh, right? She jumped into the rainbow bridge, river of light, and it worked. She got on Earth and she was here in a human body. So she was able to, she tells us about El Cush and what she remembers, because she never lost her memory. She wasn't born, you know, you get it? Okay, but you won't really get it until you hear the whole story. So watch part 2 so you have a full understanding of what this lighted spot had to tell us. Mechezah. Alright, I'll be back soon, guys. Thanks for watching. You guys missed the rays of the sun, but it was kind of cloudy anyway. Oh, there's a dove sitting right there on the line, on the telephone lines. Hi, dove. Haha. Yo, this is so perfect. I done had it, grown up in ghetto, we asthmatic, color of our skin.